and people are no longer interested in it. Not good news for a guy who campaigned on immigration. And I will fill in the blanks for the economy. He was mostly either about net even or positive in the economy throughout his first term. He has dipped rapidly from being plus in the teens just a couple of months later. Again, totally willingly. This is due to his tariffs and all of that. He's now at negative 22. He is lower on the economy now than he was when people threw his ass out of the White House the first time around. When they canned his ass, he was at like +8. He's at negative 22 now. People are not buying it. And that is good news. It is good to be reminded that you are not crazy, that just because he's in office and just because he can do largely whatever he wants, maybe everyone around us, maybe we are crazy. Maybe everybody actually likes this thing. No, they're seeing what's happening. They're reading the news, they're feeling it in their lives, and they're changing their mind accordingly. And not just abstractly, they see it on individual policies, some of them dipping more than others. But universally, they don't support him on crime. Even with him invading DC, they don't support him in immigration, even though he's clearing out the parking lots of Home Depots. And they damn sure don't support him on the economy. Now, there's more very briefly. They're also noticing his physical degradation. 34% of Americans say that his health and age are severely limiting his ability to do his job. Only 26% say it's having no effect. So more say it's having effect than not. And that 34% is the highest it's ever been. The 26% who say it's having no effect is the smallest share since the election. So they're seeing his body fall apart. They're seeing the cankles. They're seeing the foundation. Hell, they could see that with a satellite. They're seeing all of this, okay? And so it doesn't stop the damage that he can do, that he is doing, but people are seeing it. And hopefully there will be some sort of reckoning next year in the midterms. Now that is unfortunately all the time we have for this show. Maybe we'll go into more of the polling tomorrow because there is some more stuff and not all of it positive necessarily. But for now, thank you. We're gonna be doing our members hangout in just 34 minutes. Brett's gonna be here tomorrow. So go to the post tab on YouTube. And you can vote for your community garbage person of the week. For now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Doc has the day off, but never fear. He doesn't like it when he says I'm not really allowed to call him this yet, but the doctor's in. I'm going to do it anyway because I'm that kind of rebel.
Wow,
Dr. Elliot Morgan. I understand that it's just, you just got that far to go. I mean, I would let you, if you were a medical doctor and you were this close, I would let you treat me.
really?
Because there's
Okay,
not a lot,
good.
you
Thank
can't
you.
get appointments now. And I think
If
you're
I
brilliant.
I would totally do something horrible if I was in the medical field. It would be a really bad idea for you, Sharon. I mean,
Oh, goodness.
I would recommend you see someone who understands anything on that side of things because science not really not my deal. It turns out you can get a doctorate by just reading. So that's the way I went.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I don't think science is the deal of many who call themselves practicing scientists at now the CC, HHS secretary. But that's not where we'll begin, Elliot. You PhD candidate, Rebel HQ extraordinaire, and just all around great guy. What do you say we get started though? Because here we go again. I say it every time I fill in for Dr. Ritchie. I'm going to say it again. It's just a mirror, folks. And right now, I don't like what's staring back at me, but this is America. We begin with ABC pulling Jimmy Kimmel off the air for comments made about Charlie Kirk. ABC announced yesterday pulling Jimmy Kimmel live off the air indefinitely. I mean, this is where we are. The decision came after threats from the FCC chairman to the stations that carry the show regarding comments about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, what were the remarks that were so egregious, so controversial that Jimmy Kimmel, I mean, even Stephen Colbert, it's a goodbye, right? For now, we'll see what happens. What is the end in May? Next May? Maybe he'll last that long. But Kimmel, somebody better go check for him. Do a wellness check. I'm not suggesting that he's unwell, but I want to know that he's not been disappeared here. That's how quickly this happened. So, what were the remarks? Must have been really something. Well, I'll tell you. During his monologue on Monday, Kimmel took a few jabs at President Trump, as he has done many times. Wouldn't you know, a late night comedian taking jabs at the president? I thought that happened whether they had a D or an R by their name or wore a red hat. I mean, it's just what they do. Okay. They attack supermodels sometimes too. I remember Letterman did that to Cindy Crawford years ago. It was uncomfortable. Okay, so he's done that a lot. He made fun of Trump's seemingly indifferent response to a reporter's question about Charlie Kirk's killing as Kirk was speaking at Utah Valley University September 10th. But it was what Kimmel said right before that, apparently, that upset people, including Donald Trump. We hit some new lows over the weekend, with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. Okay. Well, I mean, where's the rest of it? Okay, I'll keep going. It's got to be in here somewhere. On Friday, Sinclair, the media group replacing Kimmel's show with a tribute to Charlie Kirk. On his show last week, Kimmel called Kirk's murder senseless. And on the day it happened, Kimmel posted a message on Instagram sending love to the Kirk family and to the victims of gun violence. Occasionally, Jimmy even gets serious on the air. He's even cried before over health issues, children, and this on social media, gun violence, supporting the Kirk family. I want to show you exactly what he wrote, actually. Instead of the angry finger pointing, can we just for one day agree that it is horrible and monstrous to shoot another human? Yeah, we can, Jimmy. On behalf of my family, we send love to the Kirks and to all the children, parents, and innocents who fall victim to senseless gun violence. Okay, so is there any argument with that? What was, that was touching. It was touching. One man, though, is rejoicing in the news of Jimmy Kimmel's show's cancellation. Great news for America. I want you to see if you can guess who this is. The ratings challenge Jimmy Kimmel's show is canceled Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert, if that's possible. That leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC. President Donald J. Trump. I wonder if, well, Seth has probably seen it. Jimmy's probably still asleep, from what I hear. And that's okay. You're up late. It's that kind of lifestyle. You know what I'm talking about. I love Jimmy Kimmel, and because he doesn't take himself too seriously. And, you know, if he wakes up with a hangover or something, maybe he's not great all the time, but are you? It was just 2 months ago the president was celebrating after CBS announced it was canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, another longtime Trump critic. At the time, Trump warned Jimmy Kimmel was next. In his latest post, Trump said, well, I told you, that leaves Jimmy and Seth. Late night host Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, the president urging NBC to cancel them. I wouldn't answer the phone. If work called, I just wouldn't answer the phone. I'm coming in, okay? And I would have my headsets on, Beats by Dre, and I'm not listening to anyone. Let this whole thing pass. Let's talk about the chairman of the FCC, Brendan Carr. He used to be so for free speech. Not now, though. He criticized Kimmel's remarks, threatened federal action against ABC affiliates who carried the show. Look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. That's what he said to podcaster Benny Johnson on Wednesday. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action on Kimmel, or, you know, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. I should have tried to get my best like Tony Soprano voice, because that sounded like a mafia hit. We're talking about for a comedian. It's like Beavis and Butthead human. You know, it's they're just there to make us laugh, and it's an escape. Nope. Anna Gomez, the only Democrat member of the FCC, criticized Carr's remarks. She'll be gone soon. She posted on X that an inexcusable act of political violence by one disturbed individual must never be exploited as justification for broader censorship or control. And not everyone even felt like Kimmel's remarks warranted a suspension. I mean, when I first read this, I wanted to say to the team, is that everything, or did we lose a page here? But this is everything. Multiple ABC execs felt that Jimmy Kimmel had not crossed any editorial lines, but the top brass pissing themselves. That's the quote, in fear of blowback from mafiosa, the Trump administration. That's according to a new Rolling Stone report. Two sources told Rolling Stone that several execs believe Kimmel said nothing over the line, but the fear of government retaliation won out. Media filling in some of the details behind the scenes here. Reminder, this comes just days after the word shared by J.D. Vance on the Charlie Kirk show. Remember?
It flows from all of us. So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer. We don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility.
So, and maybe, Elliot, you'll say this is too much. I know we don't live in North Korea. I know we don't live in Russia. But these are places I picture where even fun is dictated. We tell you when to laugh. We tell you when to be proud. We tell you when to be sad and have national days of mourning. You don't have any freedom of expression unless the authoritarian rule says you do. And when I saw this last night, I thought, am I on Comedy Central? Jimmy Kimmel And that's okay. What did he say? He went in because sometimes Ellie, they go in. You know how it is. But then I kept waiting for the gotcha, the horrific, disgusting, vile commentary and jokes. And I think I'm still waiting. How about you?
Yeah, I had this exact same reaction that I first saw what he got fired over, and I was just a little disappointed, especially from like a comedic standpoint. I wanted to kind of go for it, and it was just kind of like, okay,
I knew
this is
you'd get
them,
it.
bowing to the administration. But I do think the person who is having a great time here is Donald Trump because he somehow. This is my theory on it, Sharon. Okay, I think that President Trump is, this is going to sound crazy, an old person. And I think as an old person, he likes watching cable television and he likes watching cable television at night. And sometimes old people, when they're doing that, scream at their
Yep.
televisions. And so I think he has figured out a way over the years by becoming president that he can now yell at the television and it actually starts doing what he says. So I'm actually like impressed by it. It's like he did the positive power of positive thinking, basically, and now he can control the television with his mind. It's really great, good for him. But no, the whole thing is, it is crazy. It's all a bunch of like pearl clutching. It's like, what are we doing here? I mean, at some point we have to go. Yes, what happened was bad, and when bad things happen, it's going to get messy. Some people are going to lionize Charlie Kirk and make him seem like a perfect person and compare him to MLK, even though they said diametrically opposed things very often. And then other people are going to make jokes and the other way, and they're going to make really dark, nihilistic jokes about it. So I think there's just a real like, what are we like? Are we in a fantasy land? I mean, maybe it's Russia. Maybe it's Russia.
Hmm.
We're heading that way, I guess. What I'll say.
Wow. Yeah. You're so young, but you hit the nail on the head with some senior
Oh, thank
behavior.
you.
I feel like I can still hear my mother, I love you and I miss you. My stepfather, he used to scream at the TV in old cowboy movies and stuff. And my mom would say,
Yep.
Martin, will you shut up? But they were perfectly matched for each other and they loved each other. There's nothing rooted in love here. And people can say, well, this is a private entity. You can say whatever you want, but the speech has consequences. Yeah, but while that's true, it's like chilling, threatening suppression of free speech across the board, right? Um, I don't know if Jimmy thought this could happen, but I tell you, it's jarring, it's chilling, it's scary, but I expect this from certain people in certain places and those who blindly support them. I'm more angry, and I'm curious if you are, with the capitulation. ABC, the second time, right? George Stephanopoulos, what did he say? And suddenly $16 million exchanges hands. Or was that Paramount, CBS? It's just, and then the law groups and all of the, why would I follow any of you people? Capitulation across the board. Is anyone strong? I say from my house with the curtains closed, but I hope I'm not that.
Yeah, and also I think when these guys like, I mean, JD Vance there in that clip, and we've talked about this a little bit, but like there's just something a little dorky when they start sounding tough like this and they start getting really like, yeah, we did it, bro. And then I'm like, all you're doing though is inflating them by capitulating. You're making them actually think they're tough. And I know it is, they have the potential to be an incredibly harmful entity and they are mob-like for sure. But I think that makes it all the more important to just like hold your ground. You're a massive media company. You're going to be okay. I mean, this is what you do. You should be like thinking a little long. Well, actually, I answered my own question. They're not thinking long term. They're capitulating to the president and they're doing whatever they have to do to make sure that they don't get a mean phone call from him, basically. Which goes back to him watching TV at night. I do think they're scared of getting a call from him where he is, zoned out on whatever he's taken and he's just screaming a diatribe at him.
Yeah. And I get it. When someone appears unwell, um, goes off just like that, too much Diet Coke or whatever, I don't want to field those calls, but then why are you the network honchos, right? I thought you were the big guns, but
Yeah.
instead you're under your desk. You're hidden under your desk, okay, waiting for, I'd be scared of Jimmy's agent. And the thing about it is, it's not just about a bean counter and cutting costs, right? Because and Jimmy Kimmel's not been fired, he's in this like kind of, it's even cowardly the limbo he's in. Do something, will you? Okay. Do you know how much money they'd have to pay him? And I'm just talking about probably like what's left and buyouts and all this stuff. Not even if he decides to, lawyer up, get Marty Singer or somebody out there. Marty Singer's a big one out there, and decide that I'm going to the max. Okay. I actually used Marty Singer one time. I don't know why, but I did. Okay. You want to mess with me? I'm going to mess with you. I was nobody, but somehow I had a connection. I used him. That said, this is really about, I'm afraid of this man and his awesome power and his angry ability to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's anger, and it's also, I think, everyone's falling in line because they're watching other people do it. And I also think that this isn't really also about how Kimmel talked about Kirk. I think that he could have reworded that a little differently, but at the end of the day, he made fun of Trump. Like, this is just because he mocked the president. It's not about the assassination that took place. And this is another example, I think, of this side using this event to paint their political opponents in a way where it's like, this is the best you can come up. And they go, oh yeah, no, they hurt his ego. That's what it was. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like when Obama, who was very funny himself, you could rate him, and he sat at that press dinner, correspondence dinner, right? And everybody laughed, and it was funny. But I knew then that we can lay a good bit of the rise of Donald Trump at the former president's feet, because that's the moment that it was unleashed. And I know we have to move on, but I'm going to say this. A comedian's a comedian, okay? And Charlie Kirk is a man, was a man who should be here with his family. But when we're willing to go to these lengths, and that assassination's disgusting, I'd still stop sending it to me. I don't want to click on it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see that. But it was so disgusting. But you know what else was disgusting? Sandy Hook and everything before and after it. And yet I saw certain lawmakers chasing David Hogg and saying horrific things. And I saw Alex Jones and heard him saying these were actors when people were missing their kids around, if you celebrate Christmas. Listen, and that speech, and I agree with the families going after him for telling lies and inflicting pain. That's how they had to frame it legally to get there. But we're supposed to protect the worst speech. That's actually what that's about, not like things that we can generally agree with. No, I'll give you the last word.
No, I mean, well said. Also, as you brought up, I think just seeing the footage the way we all saw the footage at the same time plays a really big role in this. And no one should have had to have seen that. It shouldn't have happened, but I think visually it kind of scarred people. It triggered us a little bit. And so we're just seeing this really messy reaction across the board. And I think that like with the internet too, there's this idea that people should be responding in such a way, but it's like, have you been on the internet? Like, it's not known for not being a place filled with vitriol. That's all it is. So I think this is all kind of like a fair bit of smoke and mirrors. And so hopefully everyone can just chill out and calm down, because it's also, I don't think, doing a service to Charlie Kirk's memory.
No, I don't either, no matter what you believe. And people like us believe he should be here. And I didn't have a problem with him having an audience. You fight, as Jen says, you fight with words, right?
Right.
Like I said, I know we have to move on, but you're so smart. It's so obvious, but I didn't think that perhaps is driving it even more. The fact that this video has probably been viewed, I don't know, we'll get the number, how many tens of million, maybe, who knows, could be 1 billion views by now. I don't like to see this next one. The Dungeon, Louisiana's notorious prison, reopens as ICE detention center. Step aside, Alligator Alcatraz. There's a new horrific property being reopened. It's reopening as an ICE detention facility. Louisiana State Penitentiary, commonly known by prisoners as the Dungeon. Earlier this month, Governor Jeff Landry quietly declared a state of emergency because the prison was out of beds, which turned out to be a lie. This is what we're asking for, I guess, to be lied to, because we're not doing enough about it. Let's give you the details. The outcome of that state emergency, the emergency declaration allowed for the rapid refurbishing of a notorious shuttered housing unit at Angola, formerly known as Camp J, commonly referred to by prisoners as the Dungeon, because it was once used to house men in extended solitary confinement, sometimes for years on end. So a rapid refurbishing, I bet that cost some money. And not to turn it into, we need housing, right? We need a lot of low-income housing where it's like, it's crazy. Nope. We need to house more inmates, detainees. They kept it a secret after the lie. For over a month, the Landry administration was tight-lipped regarding the details of their plan for Camp J, and the emergency order was not picked up by the news media for several days. Well, that brings us to another point. The news media didn't pick it up because there's so much. I'm going to tell you, I don't have to be there. I can tell you what's happening. There's so much consolidation. There's so little spent on the real things as more people take profits over information over the public airways. We got a lot of people who aren't even trained to sniff out a story. They just accept whatever someone tells them. It's bizarre. So not picked up, which is why they can do this kind of thing. He's the governor and he's not even worried about it. Just keep it secret. I'm going to lie to him first and keep it secret. Earlier in September, Landry was joined by officials in the president's administration in front of the renovated facility to announce that it would be used to house the worst of the worst. Heard that before? Immigrant detainees picked up by immigration and customs enforcement agents. Here's what the governor said. Democrats' open border policies have allowed for the illegal entry of violent criminals, people who commit sexual assault, child predators, human traffickers, drug dealers who have left a path of death and destruction throughout America. The prison is known for being brutal and horrific. 1951, dozens of prisoners slashed their Achilles tendons to protest brutality at the facility. I mean, if you're going to do that to protest, it's got to be unbelievable, but they know. Medical and mental health care at the prison has likewise been abysmal. As recently as 2023, a federal judge found that the deficiencies in treatment at the facility amounted to abhorrent, cruel, and unusual punishment, resulting in untold numbers of avoidable complications and preventable deaths. That sounds like a blueprint for an administration who cruelty is the point. They like this. So this is great for them. Prison has also maintained clear visual ties to its plantation past by continuing to operate as a working farm, free labor, AKA. Mostly Black prisoners pick crops under the watch of primary white guards. And you know what some would say in America? Frankly, my dear, don't give a damn, because it's a plantation, right? Today, there is ongoing litigation attempting to end the practice of forced agricultural labor at the prison, which is known as the farm line, and is required of most prisoners at some point during their sentences. Some prisoners can make as little as 2 cents an hour for their labor, and some are paid nothing at all, like slaves, and then sharecroppers who are lied to. Can't pay you. Civil rights attorneys have argued farm line serves no legitimate penological or institutional purpose. Instead, is designed to break incarcerated men and ensure their submission. This is, I hate to keep saying it, but this is written right out of a book. How do you keep a slave compliant? You got to break them. Not allowed to speak your own language. Here's a Bible for you. Even further, I understand they're there for a reason, but guess what? Am I going to trust the reason across the board? No. Even further, Louisiana has been discovered to be the takeoff location for a majority of deportation flights. The Alexandria staging facility is supposed to be a short-term center that holds detainees for a maximum of 72 hours. It has a 400-person capacity, detains only men. It is divided into 4 large shared rooms holding about 80 people and a separate cell block. The data showed a large amount of people detained stayed longer than 3 days with no change of clothes, medication, proper meals. I don't believe anything they tell us about max 72 hours. We know it's not true when you're not transparent. Thought he was going to give us the records, all of them, Holman. I'll let you weigh in, Elliot. Until we take it back, I guess this is what we're going to be living with.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think this is by design, and they love it. I mean, this is like their bread and butter. I think they kind of get off on it. They enjoy it. They think that this is fun for them. I think that, as you said, the cruelty is kind of the point. It always like blows my mind when they have this kind of brazenness about themselves and these kinds of decisions when you're clearly not treating human beings like they're actual human beings. I think that there's a lot of people in this country who probably have a lot of economic hardships, and this is a really easy scapegoat. And so they're just going to keep hammering it away. It's better to have these sort of spectacles, as horrific as they are, than it is to allow people to ask this administration about why they're putting regressive taxes in the form of tariffs, or why that what's going on with Epstein. As long as they can just keep cruelty as a distracting mechanism, then I think that that's a win for them, and it flies in the face of rationality. Like if the people who are here and they're not documented are a fraction as likely to be as violent. They tend to improve the economies they're in. They're not shown to steal any jobs, and yet you sort of again enter into this fantasy land with this administration where it doesn't matter. Like the truth is not relevant. What's relevant is how they can use it as a talking point to get their base riled up and have them go look over there, basically. And it just sucks that there's actual human beings that are being treated this way in the process.
Yeah, well, they take everything, just keep stealing everything from us, and we're not even lulled to sleep. I mean, it's easy for me to be a big mouth on this show and say, just until we take it back. But I'd be lying if I didn't say, who am I? I'm just little Sharon Reed in Atlanta here in my home studio, like I said, with the curtains closed. But even I think, what if like I say something that accidentally goes viral and they for a second set their sights on, who's this woman with the big mouth? Who is she? That's scary. And it's become so scary for so many people. Jimmy Kimmel's fired. They had a place, didn't the judge say shut it down? Alligator Alcatraz. This is modern. It's here. And I don't know how we're going to get it back. It's not going away. I think we should head north to New York, the city that never sleeps, cops on the beat. And we've learned this. The NYPD used AI instead of police work. And what was the result? They wrongfully arrested a Black man. Even AI is saying, oh, the Black guy did it. Okay. I mean, we can't catch a break. Okay. Artificial intelligence. Now 36-year-old Travis Williams, falsely arrested, jailed in April of this year for a crime he did not commit. NYPD used unreliable AI instead of police work, wrongfully arresting Black man who didn't match suspect's description. Already I can tell you there's more details. There's no excuse for this. Anybody who's ever used Chat GPT or the other ones, I have to curse Chat out sometimes and say, I told you to stop making up. It's just part of the flow as it learns and kind of clones us. They make stuff up sometimes. You got to then check that. Sure, it's convenient, it's helpful in some ways, but not for this. Here are those details. A black man falsely arrested, jailed in April for allegedly flashing a woman in New York City, despite not matching the victim's physical description of the suspect, based on a misidentification by facial recognition technology. His lawyers are now calling for an investigation into the use of the technology by New York police. Civil rights advocates are demanding an outright ban. Travis Williams, age 36, 6 feet 2 inches, weighing 230 pounds, spent more than 2 days in jail after a facial recognition program used by New York Police Department and the investigators there selected his image from an array of mugshots in a database. Then a woman who had told police in February that an Amazon delivery man had exposed himself to her in a Manhattan apartment building reviewed it among 5 other photos culled by police and identified Williams as the flasher. New York Times first reporting the details. Didn't matter to police that the woman had described the suspect as 5'6". That's what I am. Weighing about 160. That's what I am. I'm trying to lose weight. Or that Williams, whose mugshot was in the system because of a misdemeanor arrest over a fighting incident, told police he was driving back from his job in Connecticut, where he worked with autistic adults, to Brooklyn to meet a friend on that day, same day as the crime. And he could prove it with location data from his phone. So they interrogated him April 22nd. Williams, who reportedly was nabbed by police when they stopped him on suspicion of fare beating in the subway, told investigators he had started working for Amazon delivering packages on April 1, and that sealed his fate. Despite his insistence that he was working in Connecticut in February, police charged Williams with indecent exposure the following day. A statement from Williams' attorney. Traditional police work could have solved this case or at least saved Mr. Williams from going through this, said Diane Ackerman, Williams' lawyer and a staff attorney in the Digital Forensics Unit of the Legal Aid Society in New York. I bet they're busy. She says the NYPD failed to investigate beyond the photo identification, which started with feeding a blurry still image from surveillance video at the crime scene into a system that uses algorithms to render a face's contours into data points, then looks for faces that are statistically similar, Times explained. His phone places him 12 miles from where the crime occurred. Forensic analysis that his lawyers made of Williams' phone records showed that at the time of the crime, his phone was communicating with cell towers around Brooklyn. Again, 12 miles away from the crime scene. That's according to data reviewed by the Times. And our friends at Atlanta Black Star are also filling in some of the details for us. So the police did not contact Amazon to find out the identity of the delivery man at the woman's apartment. Now, I have to stop there. Is there something wrong with you? Who doesn't want to pick up the phone and get somebody in trouble at their workplace? And you're wearing a uniform. Isn't that what police do? They show up at your job if they think you committed a crime. At least call over there. An Amazon spokesperson said, company would have cooperated, of course. Prosecutors dismissed the case against Williams in July, according to ABC7. His case is among multiple false arrests based on faulty or improperly used facial recognition technology. Williams said he was in the process of becoming a correctional officer at Rikers Island. Since his arrest, they kind of froze the hiring process. I hope people don't have to sit in jail or prison for things that they didn't do, Williams said. Well, guess what, Mr. Williams? They do have to sit in jail for things they didn't do. And that is the American way. Look, when you're talking about artificial intelligence, facial and voice recognition, Siri, who gets on my last nerves, and I've cursed her out too. And maybe that makes me crazy. And I'm going to tell you why. I speak for a living. Perhaps I've been told I've got a different kind of voice or something, but I think you can understand me. I think you can. And every time I ask her something, she claps back with something entirely different. And I'm telling you, it feels deliberate. but it's really about bad in, bad out. When you train something on people who don't necessarily have the characteristics of my voice and my face, think about it. You know, these cameras weren't great at first, and they couldn't distinguish, darker skin, right? They perfected it first. How? On white skin, men, the hair looked crazy on women. So this doesn't surprise me, but hey, who cares if, well, this guy, Travis Williams, is locked up. So what if we ruin his life and didn't even bother to call his job? Don't you like to get brothers fired? They didn't even try to get him fired. They said, you're coming with us. Elliot, this is par for the course, really. It really is.
Yeah, I think my conspiracy theory is that the police officers heard about the movie Minority Report, but they never watched it. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
this is the wrong kind of Minority Report, fellas. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I think with AI, like, and I could talk for an hour about Siri. I don't know what's going on there. It's wild to me how horrible that whole app is after all of these years when everything else is supposedly going at breakneck speed. But the whole like idea of there being a thing as systemic racism would imply that if we made something like AI, it would potentially inherit some of these kinds of things that can lead to this. So it does seem like that's kind of what's happening here. And this over reliance on AI, like you're saying, this flattery aspect of it. I mean, imagine you're like in law enforcement and you're getting, bragged to by this like AI program. And it's just telling you, yeah, this is for sure who it is. And also you're handsome. And also you look really nice. You smell nice today, whatever, like all the ChatGPT stuff is. I'm sure like it took the AI hallucination probably had some kind of an effect on them where they were like, okay, yeah, let's do it. This must be right. Let's not even second guess it. So this, I think, is like going to happen again. And people were warning about it. So hopefully they can figure their stuff out and maybe not use a technology that maybe isn't as reliable as it tells you it is.
Yeah. Switch to Gronk, right? Isn't that the other one? Then a whole nother class of people.
Goober.
Right. Right.
Whatever.
It's just, it's craziness. And I really do think Siri is nasty and condescending. That's my experience with her. Okay. And I think I'm perfectly sweet when I ask her something. It's important. I need it. And whatever, I'll deal with her. Because I can shut her off if I want to, Elliot. The problem with this is Mr. Williams, who was just going to Brooklyn to meet a friend, could not shut off this misidentification by AI. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how we're going to like stop this from happening over and over again. I'm surprised there isn't a story like this every day. But based on the amount that I encounter these AI programs being wrong, or just flat out telling me that it's right when we all know that it's not, this is going to just, and there is this obsession culturally with AI too. And I do think it's like, can be incredibly useful, but we're just not there yet. It's a new technology. And historically, we don't do real well with new technology right out of the gate. So maybe we should all pause and breathe a little bit.
Yeah. Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
You've ruined his career. He wanted to be a correctional officer. No, I don't think that's the right career for him. I don't think you want to do that, especially at Rikers.
Not anymore.
You don't want any part of that. But that's just me. We should be free to pursue what we want to pursue as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. This is indisputable. Dr. Rashad Ritchie. There's soon to be another doctor, Elliot Morgan. And don't try to minimize it. Well, if I was a medical, I just read a bit. No, this is a big deal. There's not a lot of people who are able to complete this. So I'm going to play it up every time.
Well, thank you. I need the encouragement. I'm in that crunch phase right now. So I'm also going, am I gonna, I could just not do this, but I'm in too deep now. So it's like a gambling thing. I feel like I have to just keep chasing it. I'm like, all right, what else am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with all these books that I pretend that I've read? I haven't actually. These are all made of cardboard. If you look closely at them,
love
it's just
books.
a total
Don't
set.
you dare.
I
Eat
do
a
the
Snickers,
problem.
keep going. You understand?
Thank you.
You keep going. This is Indisputable. Doc has the day off. I'm Sharon Reed. Elliot Morgan is our very special guest co-host today. We'll get to some of your comments. We need each other. So please, let's vibe together. We really need each other in the current climate. You're the boss around here. There's no parent company that's trying to control you. You get to say whatever you want. Stay with us.
Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier, and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either.
Welcome back to Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Doc is not in today, but never fear. Elliot Morgan's here, Rebel HQ, soon to be a doctor, PhD. And so that's the interesting guest co-host we have. But what about the interesting comments? TYT members first. Next, TYT reporter says Louisiana was one of the 6 states to form the Confederacy. Their cruelty shouldn't surprise us. Yeah, and even though there was a whole war about that thing and Blacks were freed, well, some had to wait till Juneteenth, but they're still acting. The details in that Louisiana prison turned detention center for ICE story seem like they're right out of a Confederacy playbook. Long live the South is what it feels like. So I got to tell you, I agree. Guan will capsize Dragon says, I want to see Trump do math on live TV. Now, why do you want to see that? The Sharpie and the map thing wasn't enough for you? He's going to add it up the way he wants to add it up. I mean, yesterday he said something like 300 million people in the United States had died from drugs. What? We did the math. The great team behind the show did it, 99%. 0.9 wrong. It's not. It was 75,000, which is still too many, and it just breaks my heart. It's not 300 million. So I don't know why you want to see that, Guam. Let's see what else Guam has to say. He can just start a podcast like everyone else on TV who gets fired, talking about Jimmy Kimmel. We don't know if he's fired yet, but you got to tell me something. Is the clause where you owe me money going to kick in or not? Okay, you're not just going to leave me dangling out here. Jimmy, who remember posted the tribute, which doesn't take anything but being human to do. So I'm not trying to make it, but that's what I think that's who Jimmy Kimmel is. He happens to be wildly funny and he's risen in the ranks, and this is what he's doing. Doesn't have to be perfect, but apparently he does. Over 9,000 entered The Dragon Says. It's the era of freeze speech now. You're right. You're right. One more for you, and then we'll get to the next segment. Tisha Edwards says, honestly, from YouTube here. Thank you, Tisha. Honestly excited to be in the live. I've missed this show much due to my schedule. We're excited you are here. We're excited you're with us. I never felt so much sense of community, even though I'm alone in my office. I feel like I'm not alone. Elliot's here. I'm here. I'm looking at extraordinary team behind the scenes. You can't see them, but they're very dedicated. And then there's you at home. So I love it. And when you write like in real time, we've just pushed that out and now you're commenting on it. I just love it. Maybe I'm a nerd or something. I love it. This, I don't love, but I've learned to tolerate it. God, wait till you see the picture. And I'm fine with catching someone with their mouth, open. It's a snapshot in time, but it's illustrative of the kind of mouth we're dealing with, okay? And over what? It usually doesn't matter to these people. They wake up, probably yawn with that morning breath, and then they decide, who will I attack today? And then they might have little minions around them, a partner, kids who say, yeah, go for it. Who will we attack today? That's what we do best. And then they're unleashed in the world. And when you're minding your own business and you least expect it, it's like you encounter a bear in the wild. It's like, yeah, they're in their own habitat, which they've declared is everywhere. I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
You're still free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Hell, you are!
Girl, back up.
Jim up.
I want an African call. You're not going to be arrested. Come on. You're like 7 Back up. He's not hurting. No. Oh my God! I don't care what you say. Oh my God! You just hit her. You go ahead. She hit me first. You hit her. You hit my hand. You hit my hand.
You see what I mean? You almost wish you had a bear trap. I don't think they kill the animals, right? They usually, if they have to, they give some big tranquilizer and then they kind of like with the bear tongue hanging out, carry them off, put them back in their natural habitat. And it's fine. I mean, we've taken up too much territory and these animals. I'm not talking about the care now. I'm actually talking about bears, but let's get to this one. White woman hits black woman's hand and then cries for police. It's either police or the manager. That's what they do. Video inside a Crumble cookie store, Florida this is going viral for a Karen. The video starts with a couple of men squared off inside, a stocky older man in a pink polo, a younger black man. They're visible. They were standing nose to nose, toe to toe, with the intention of swinging their hands. I dare you, the older man said. You got an issue with me? Come on. On the contrary, the other person repeated, do something. It went on like this until the man's female companion came to the scene. Woman eventually shouted and said, call the police. She snapped at the younger man, even batting his hands away. Go, expletive. Get the expletive out of my face. Now, the minute you retaliate and you say expletive back, I'm telling you, she's the type that says, how can you talk to me this way? Who raised you? That's the type. I know this type. I know this type because, as she said, get the expletive out of my face, she spat. Then she tells her partner, he's not worth it. And gradually the situation went out of control as the woman suddenly slapped the hand of a nearby Black woman who was trying to sort things out, calming them down. Now that action there, that backfired instantly. Not to mention that another member of the group took a hit at the shoulder as well. A commenter rather. I think you could commentate this situation though, that would be fun. A whole show where you're just commentating. Just bring up more videos. There's plenty. The show could go on forever. That slapback was sending me. The older man suddenly got startled. He said, OMG, as if she knocked her out cold, but was silent when she swung first, someone observed. Another added, he was flabbergasted. Couldn't believe she actually hit her back, LOL. Can we put up the picture again of the mouth open, the side view? Are you proud of this? Ma'am, are you? And do you still believe that you're in the right no matter what? And are crumble cookies good? This is what we were debating in the break. Elliot, I'm going to throw all of that to you about whether you would highly rate the cookies, whether this Karen is proud, still thinks she's in the right, just all of it.
Yeah, I think you bring up a lot of really important points, Sharon. What is happening to this country if we can't just go and enjoy some aesthetically pleasing but usually mediocre tasting cookies? I mean, I think potentially what's going on here is they knew deep down that disappointment was on the horizon because despite all the decorations on crumble cookies, they often have a single flavor, which is sugar. And so they started expressing that anger to each other. So yeah, and also a guy in a pink polo shirt, he was also responding exactly how you would expect. That's a particular uniform. I believe he took it from Florida, but he looks great in it. It's
right.
It really makes his cheeks pop. So I hope he keeps it up. But yeah, I think ultimately the people to blame here are Crumble. So that's my hot take.
I think your hot take is spot on. Okay, it's not like Krispy Kreme where it calms people down when they see that light flashing and they're warm. And who takes a bite of that and you're just going to be even though it's full of sugar, you're going to relax. You're right. Maybe there's a lawsuit that should be pursued. Maybe it is something in the sugar.
I've seen Krispy Kreme now taking a page out of Crumble, where they're kind of also making these same things, but they look better. So I'm like, maybe we had to have Crumble. Yeah, so we could have Krispy Kreme be better. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, it's art. There's the one not far from me. Shaq owns it. I know Shaq a little bit. And from time to time, and Papa John's.
It's nice.
I would say, hey, can we have some pizzas? One time he sent a bunch of pizzas to the newsroom, courtesy of Shaq. This is what he does. And then he says, well, first the Krispy Kreme did burn down, but now it's back. It's bigger. It's better than ever. I said, can we get some free donuts? Sure. Free donuts for everyone. Nothing like this takes place, I can assure you, at his Krispy Kreme. They maybe need to close their doors for a minute and get things sorted out. Okay, let's talk Tucker Carlson if we can, and his worry, his absolute worry that the horrific murder of Charlie Kirk might spur hate speech laws. Look at this.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. This is the Attorney General of the United States, the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States, telling you that there is this other category called hate speech. And of course, the implication is that's a crime. There's almost no sentence that Charlie Kirk, and I'm not running the risk of appropriating his memory for my own ends by saying this, it's provable. There's no sentence that Charlie Kirk would have objected to more than that. And you've got to think the Attorney General didn't think it through and was not attempting to desecrate the memory of the person she was purporting to celebrate, that she just threw that out there, that she hadn't thought about it. You hope that. You hope that Charlie Kirk's death won't be used by a group we now call bad actors to create a society that was the opposite of the one he worked to build. You hope that. You hope that a year from now, the turmoil we're seeing in the aftermath of his murder won't be leveraged to bring hate speech laws to this country. And trust me, if it is, if that does happen, there is never a more justified moment for civil disobedience than that, ever. And there never will be. Because if they can tell you what to say, they're telling you what to think. There is nothing they can't do to you because they don't consider you human. They don't believe you have a soul. A human being with a soul, a free man, has a right to say what he believes, not to hurt other people, but to express his views.
Having listened to that, for just a few seconds, I closed my eyes and I pretended, I changed the voice in my head. That was Bernie or AOC saying that. Perfectly reasonable, right? What Tucker said, what I heard was the voice of reason. Everything else is not, okay? And we're being gaslit and indoctrinated to believe. It's like after 9/11 when we were all shocked, scared, alarmed, willing to give up things that were prior to that somewhat pure, all in the name of safety. It was a grab. So Tucker Carlson recently held a panel to discuss the murder of Charlie Kirk. Live stream included panelists Megyn Kelly, Scott Adams, TYT's own Cenk Uygur, and Josiah Trenum. That part you just watched came from his 30-minute opening monologue there. Carlson brought up free speech, hate speech, and the potential for bad actors to use this death as an opportunity to limit the First Amendment. Here's the full clip from what AG Pam Bondi said about targeting hate speech.
I think now is exactly the wrong time to appropriate the memory of someone and the emotion that comes with that, the really intense emotion that all of us feel at his murder, and use it for your own parochial ends. Like, he stood for this, and I think the reason that Charlie was able to bridge the gap, particularly in foreign policy, is because he had, for example, genuine affection for Israel, which he expressed to me in private many, many times. Like, I love Israel. I don't think we should have another forever war, regime change war against Iran. I don't think it's helpful for people to jump in, particularly foreign heads of state, to say this is what, he lived for my cause or whatever. That's disgusting, actually. Don't do that.
Yeah. So Tucker's comments come merely days after President Donald Trump said he supported Bondi, who faced bipartisan backlash Monday after declaring on a podcast, she was on there with Stephen Miller's wife, there's free speech and then there's hate speech, and there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society. Reminder, while it sucks, hate speech is protected. The First Amendment reads like it's protected. That's how we have to say it now. We can't just declare free speech is protected by the First. It reads to be that way, but we can't say it's absolute here, not even close. Pam Bondi saying that they will target those who use hate speech it's terrifying. Here's what Tucker Carlson stated. You hope Charlie Kirk's death won't be used by a group we now call bad actors to create a society that was the opposite of the one he worked to build. You hope that. You hope a year from now, you heard him say the turmoil we're seeing in the aftermath of the murder won't be leveraged to bring hate speech laws to this country. And trust me, if that does happen, there's never a more justified moment for civil disobedience than that, ever. And there never will be. Because if they can tell you what to say, they're telling you what to think. And there's nothing they can't do to you because they don't consider you human. I mean, it's worth repeating. This is what I was talking about earlier in the show. North Korea, Russia. It's not just how you express yourself. They've indoctrinated people out of fear. This is what you will think. It's scary as hell. Human being with a soul, a free man, has a right to say what he believes, not to hurt other people, but to express his views. These are simple American things. It's what sets us apart, it did, from the rest, right? Before we get to Pam Bondi trying to walk her comments, moonwalking back, we'll show you that. But Elliot, weigh in. Do you find anything objectionable that Tucker said in those clips?
Let me see. Yeah, not a word.
Yeah.
It reminded me of what the brilliant geniuses at The Onion once said, which is tragic. The worst person you know just made a great point. And that was a whole string of them. And he nailed it. I 100% think if ever there was an issue that we can actually come together on, it is this one.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the most fundamental one. And just on a pet peeve level, though, when Bondi was talking to Nosferatu's wife there for a second about Charlie, the way she uses just his first name, like, oh, this is. Yeah, it's like, well, don't. That's the using him for your own purposes. Yeah. This sort of like assumed familiarity, like, oh, that's just Charlie, and you're clearly trying to endear yourself. And yeah, I think it's super gross. Yeah. So I'm glad she's walking it back.
Yeah, she was kissing up to those who loved him dearly and followed him. The 1 million people a day watching the podcast. That's what she was doing. And how do we know that? I feel more disdain for people like Pam who, will you stop faking the funk? This is not even who you, yesterday you weren't like this. I was told you were very reasonable, somewhat down in Florida, but you're really just all in.
This is like audience capture too. I mean, this is just her trying to grab some fans for whatever her next job is after this gig, whenever she inevitably goes to the podcast sphere, because they all get funneled into that eventually, I think.
She doesn't have a bad voice, but it's just something about that voice and the condescending lies that are being told that makes me, I don't want her on a podcast. But again, this is America. I wouldn't try to say, I wouldn't pull her podcast indefinitely. Okay. So here's what she said, trying to walk back her comments on X. How do you even walk that back? You were emphatic, Pam. You said you were going to crack down, something like they like domestic terrorist or something. You were going to go after them. And somebody mentioned Soros again. Isn't that man? Could you leave that man alone? I don't even think, stop already. You're just invoking his name all the time. Hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. It's a crime. For far too long, we've watched the radical left normalize threats, call for assassination, and cheer on political violence. What would Trump say at those rallies? I'd like to beat him and get him out of here. That era is over, she concludes the statement. We're in a whoop-de-doo, upside down pineapple cake world. Okay? We are in some dark times. You are silencing people who, I'm still trying to figure out what Matthew Dowd said. Richard Nixon was dead for a few minutes, and I already heard the word Watergate 50 times. Okay, this is part of, what did he say that was so, are we this thin skinned? Yeah. Dear leader, I'll give you the last word. Elliot, am I too hard on Pam? You said you're happy she's walked it back.
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe the walking would be a little further than that. That was still just sort of like doubling down on it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what the thin skinness, I think it's nuts. I mean, what this is what happens. People say mean things when things happen, either personally or collectively. It's a way of processing what's going on. It may not be good. It may not be morally right. It may not be something I personally agree with, but this is what it is. And this whole idea of being well, the other side is violent is just so transparent. It's all of us are violent in some capacity. So this is, I think, just another political stunt.
Yeah, stop, Pam. You know better. This is Indisputable. Sharon Reed, Elliot Morgan. When we come back, more of your comments, special TYT announcement for you, and we'll tell you how the Justice Department is just following the data. That's all they want to do. They just want to follow the data with this hate thing. We're right back.
Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier, and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either.
Welcome back to Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Elliot Morgan is here. Just an extraordinary talent with real insight. So we appreciate you very much. And we appreciate you all. I think the reason I keep talking about the community here in the sense of that is because there's a need for it now. That it's not just me, right? So it's helpful to have, I think you guys are always the voice of reason. TYT members, first, over 9,000 entered the Dragon. Slavery didn't end, it expanded. Now we just call them felons. The Nazis didn't go away either. Now they're in charge of our government. It's there. I'm reading it, and people have their own opinions. And hey, look, I'll tackle the slavery part. It's still here. We have a history in it. So even though technically it's abolished, it's such a strong history that it permeates even today different aspects of our society. Embedded dude, Elliot is pretty sharp. He is, isn't he? He's funny, he's relaxed, he's humble. Do you want to give a speech? I'll give you about 12 seconds. Go.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to repeat everything Tucker Carlson just said. It's with me, and it was beautiful, and I teared up. So no, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. I'm constantly on guard that my face is too close to the camera, or no one can hear me, or my dog's going to bark. So I'm glad none of that's happened yet. So thanks, y'all.
We're fine with all of the above. You're great. You're a hit. In fact, Brett Campbell, aka Dragon, my ass. When I was also in too deep in my PhD research, Elliot, as I worked on rough drafts of papers and chapters of my dissertation, I wrote in large red font at the top of the first page, "The only out is through." So they give you encouragement.
That's
just keep,
yeah.
Yeah.
Really good piece of advice. I will do that. I have to I'll maybe put it on like a post-it note and stick it all around.
Yeah.
Because right now all of my red font is just me yelling at myself over what I've already written and being like, this is terrible. What are you thinking? But I'm sure you remember, sir. So yeah, thanks, Sharon. Appreciate it.
And so you see that? Well, thank my ass. He said that's his tip, and I agree. Okay, quickly. Brainius, Bulky, Colbert, Kimmel, Myers, they get free reign on their own network. Well, not anymore. Not anymore. I don't know if they'll ever get it back. You don't just say, oh, once he goes away, we'll go back to that. It doesn't happen that way. It's like you have an affair on your partner and you decide to salvage the relationship. Do you really think it's going to be the same? Okay. Think about it, folks, before Technology aided JD needs to lecture our government about free speech instead of Europe. Here. Leave 18, WHT girl, Karen protecting Karen. Is that about the husband? Well, I don't know if it was her husband, but the man in the pink polo they were both kind of against everyone, maybe. Yeah. Richie Rich, hey, AI, can you corroborate this unconstitutional arrest of innocent people? Thanks. That's a good question. And actually, after the show, I'm going to actually ask Chat that and Gemini. I won't bother to ask Gronk because I figure I know what that's going to be about. Okay. And tomorrow we'll have an important announcement here. So I know you'll be here tomorrow to hear it. It's going to be something you'll be interested in. Okay, this one now. The DOJ quietly removes data showing right-wing attacks higher than left. I told you they want to follow the data. They want to make it up to or erase it. Department of Justice has removed a study showing right-wing attacks are more prevalent than those on the left. 2024 study, criminal justice researchers reviewed data by the National Institute of Justice data. They found far more deaths credited to right-wing groups. The study was still available on the Justice Department website last week. But that was last week. A researcher on extremism posted on social media that it had been removed in the days after the killing of right-wing activist Charlie Kirk. And you want to hold a late-night comedian, to a standard of absolute journalistic truth? The number of far-right attacks continues to outpace all other types of terrorism and domestic violent extremism, the study says. Remember, Christopher Wray, FBI director Chris Wray, before Kash Patel, warned you. What NIJ research tells us about domestic terrorism. Since 1990, far-right extremists have committed far more ideological, motivated homicides than far left or radical Islamist extremists, including 227 events that took more than 520 lives, the study states. In this same period, far left extremists committed 42 ideologically motivated attacks that took 78 lives. The removal of the study was first reported Tuesday by 404 Media, which credited Daniel Malmer, PhD student at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, who was studying extremism, with first noticing the removal of the study September 13th. Just look at the dates, folks. In a post on social media, Malmer said the study had been visible the day before. The Justice Department did not respond to requests for comment on the removal of the study, but the page now says the department is reviewing its websites in accordance with recent executive orders. That's how Harriet Tubman went away. And remember that aircraft, or was it a ship, the Gay, right? I mean, they're reviewing things, folks, based on these executive orders. What executive order would require this? Well, that's not clear. The Hill has since obtained the original study, which discussing a number of factors motivating extremists, including further radicalization by connecting with others online. Web forums included discussions about a variety of beliefs, such as gun rights, conspiracy theories, hate-based sentiments, anti-government beliefs. However, the intensity of ideological expression was generally weak. The nature of the online environments that far-right groups use likely facilitates the diffusion of ideological agendas, it states. A study by the Cato Institute, a libertarian group, found that since 2020, right-wing extremists were responsible for more than half of all politically motivated deaths, 44, left-wing extremists responsible for 22%, a total of 18 deaths. That from the Hill relating that. So, Elliot, this is the problem I have. It's not even, we can't even say anymore that in the wake of Charlie's murder, and again, as you pointed out, and some others, instantly, the president, the vice president, others began, before we even knew, they didn't even know the guy's name, right? Before his deputy friend, a pastor, and his mom and dad turned him in, said, hey, you got to get in there. They didn't even know who it was. They had a stake, though. They weren't even going to wait and keep their fingers crossed. Oh, I hope it's a left extreme. They were just going to go with it. That's what they're doing. And if it doesn't fit the narrative, well, we just erase it. Let's just erase it. What say you?
Yeah, it's like a can't unring the bell situation a little bit there, where they can just say it. And then, if they retract it later, like a fraction of the people will see the retraction, and the damage you do with just kind of the outlandish claim is already done. I mean, on a personal level, like, I think we're all guilty of this to some degree when something like this does happen. Like, I mean, when it first went down, I was like, oh yeah, this isn't going to be good. And how horrible that it seems like it's someone closer to my end of the political spectrum. You don't want that. You don't want to think that you could be associated, even in terms of political orientation, with someone who would do something like that. The problem is that it's just a human thing to be violent. But the kind of like trying to erase this study is very odd to me. And the like hubris it takes to think that you could get away with that and that someone wouldn't notice. And of course, props to the, I'm sure, PhD student who was like, oh, okay, it's not there anymore, which just goes to show, there's these websites aren't frequented very often by many people. But yeah, that's what I think's going on.
Yes, one of your fellow PhD seeking students.
A nerdy man, yeah.
Yeah, but there's such freedom, believe it or not. That's actually the word I'm going to use for people who are doing this, Justice Department in this case. They don't really care if you've noticed that now there's just a placeholder or an error. And they're so brazen that they just wipe it. This wouldn't be okay, but it's not like they rewrote history, well, like they did with Native Americans and that feast they claim happened. I mean, you brought disease, you killed people who shared their crops with you. But, let's make it nice. And the kids will dress up and we'll have turkey dinner at school. It's not like they said, Rosa Parks, okay, she refused to give up her seat, but a white woman encouraged her to do that. They could have just add some little sprinkling of non-truth. Instead, we're just going to pretend it never happened. Disappear it. We said the radical left is doing this. Radical left. So thank you to all of you PhD seekers out there. Keep telling us the truth. You guys seek facts, and that's what this is about. Form a thesis based on facts. Is that what you call PhD, Elliot? Yeah. This guy, Todd Blanche, at one point was perhaps a respectable guy. I don't know what's worth. Is it proximity to power? Is it the money? I don't know what would be worth it for me to do this. Deputy AG Blanche says Trump protesters could face criminal investigation. Protesters. There's this guy who hangs around the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, and calls him Meatball Ron wherever he goes. He shouts out, hey, Meatball. It's rude. It's crass. It's embarrassing. Like to the guy, he stands there and he even says to the other guards and stuff who are in the vicinity, you guys were told to watch out for me, weren't you? And then he just says, hey, Meatball Ron, there's the guy with the small hands. Like he just heckles him. He better watch himself because this is spreading. Remember when Trump's public dinner threw chaos as he was met with heckling from protesters?
Trump is the Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time! What do you want your lunch legacy to be? Let's go. He's terrorizing communities in DC. Time to go. He's terrorizing communities all over the world. Time to go. Puerto Rico. Let's go. Free DC, free Palestine. Trump is the Hitler of our time.
What's more American than that? What's more American than that? They were original. They rhymed. I mean, hell, Kendrick Lamar could have performed this at the Super Bowl, the halftime show. It was fine. Yet our leader, the leader of the free world, he can't stomach a rap battle or women who are speaking their beliefs, right? Those women there. They better watch it too, because now Deputy AG Todd Blanche says organized Trump protesters could face criminal investigations.
So is it, again, sheer happenstance that individuals show up at a restaurant where the president is trying to enjoy dinner in Washington, D.C., and accost him with vile words and vile anger, and meanwhile, he's simply trying to have dinner? Does it mean it's just completely random that they showed up? Maybe, but to the extent that it's part of an organized effort to inflict harm and terror and damage to the United States, there's potential investigations there, and that's what the president was saying yesterday in the Oval Office, and what he also has said in the days before that as well.
But were those women in the restaurant inflicting harm or terror or damage by protesting the president of the United States? I mean, they were just shouting basically in his vicinity.
I mean, repeat what you just said. I mean, honestly, so you're asking whether there's damage done by 4 individuals screaming and yelling at the president of our United States while he's trying to have dinner. That can't be a serious question.
Her face looks serious. Her face looks serious to me. Look, were the women inflicting harm by doing their little rhyme, Palestine, Hitler of our time? No. There's videos online claiming that Donald Trump farted at a MAGA rally. That did harm. This is people just screaming. They said his gas, flatulence, was something extraordinary. Is that harm? Just air. And they were just spewing what they believe. This is where we are. Trump in September 15 remarks from the Oval Office accused the protesters of being paid professional agitators. Now I got to put my glasses on, look, see if he's going to mention Soros here. He said he asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to explore charging the protesters with crimes under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO. He would know about RICO, which prosecutors often use to target individuals who are part of vast criminal networks. Like here in Georgia, the case fell apart. Steve Sadow, he's the one you call. Attorney Steve Sadow is the one you call if you've got a difficult case. He called the right one. I consider him a friend. I do. He hates RICO. So, President escaped that. I've asked Pam to look into that in terms of RICO, bringing RICO cases against them. Criminal RICO, because they should be put in jail, Trump said. What they're doing to this country is really subversive. Define it. Elliot, with that, I probably would have just started dancing to what I wouldn't care if they had that to say. I'm getting ready to eat a nice meal. Okay. I'll enjoy my meal. What's the big deal?
It was incredibly catchy. I mean, they should, I hope it gets sampled at some point. I think what's going on here, though, is that Trump was legitimately scared, because when was the last time he was surrounded by a group of women who were over the age of 18? So that's what I think that he is still, well, he was startled. He didn't understand what he was seeing, and he's not used to that kind of scenario. So hopefully he gets it worked out. Also, that response to that question from the CNN reporter, and blanking on her name, that like faux pearl clutching, like the, like what? I won't even dignify.
Yeah.
No, it's like the question is what damage was caused by the spoken word, by the First Amendment. Like it is the most over the plate question, and this like feigned like, oh, I just can't believe you would even ask that. I mean, I could watch hours of that kind of stuff go back and forth. That is
Me
like
too.
prime time CNN.
And I wish that we could see wall to wall more of these kinds of mini. What are those things where people would just at the mall start dancing and you're suddenly in the middle of like, what are those pop-up things that they were doing? They should be like that. What are they, flash mobs? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we would see these pop up everywhere because this is going to sound over the top, but I think these women are heroes, the women in the restaurant that night, right? Because it's all fun and games with a catchy rap tune until you're Alexei Navalny, maybe in Russia. He couldn't do that. And we saw what happened. Suddenly poisoned and they got to turn the plane around. You speak out and you are disappeared, not to CCOT. You're disappeared for good. And so I wish that this is an art form that may soon go away. Public shaming has its place in America, socially, politically. Shaming provides a resource for us that we can at least do that. We may not have all the money, but we can take an Amazon box that is really destroying the earth. I don't know why you need all these boxes. Why all the boxes? You don't even care. The trees, none of that. But they can rip it. And then I hope you use both sides. And they can pen something on it and hold it up and they can shout. And that's the American way. And so as much as I hope it gave him indigestion that night, Elliot, this is an art form that may soon go away.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because it is literally what a functioning democratic society is based on. You should be able to speak your mind. I also think that all throughout the show today, there has been a kind of through line that we've mentioned a couple times, which is just how thin-skinned this whole administration is being right now. It's like, aren't you guys supposed to be the tough, rugged cowboys? Where'd that go? Like, bring that back a little bit. But yeah, I mean, good on these women and good on anybody who protests and tells something to Trump he's not used to hearing because he surrounds himself with sycophants.
Yeah. And I think people who say it to his face, I mean, again, Jimmy Kimmel's show as of this airing is indefinitely on hold. We don't know what's going to happen there. But just through that screen, you can turn the channel, Donald. That so upset him that he has to orchestrate something. And I think it's safe to say something was orchestrated here, okay? The FCC guy who used to say things like, Biden was right. They pulled up one of his old social media postings. Biden was right. We don't have time to go after people who want to speak their mind, something paraphrasing. But saying it to his face, these women probably, I'll put it in quotes, danger. I'm not saying physically, but hey, he's targeting folks. I'll give you the last word.
No, absolutely. I think you're 100% right. Good on them for doing it and good on anybody who gets a chance to do it. That's a once in a lifetime thing too. I mean, talk about like when these, at the end of their lives, I think these ladies are going to have that flash before them as a very positive memory because you did get to affect someone who otherwise seems unable to be affected. So good on them.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Obamas go into a restaurant and people say, oh my God. Even Bill Clinton, they're not saying too many rude things to him. Joe Biden, who's, supposedly weekend at Bernie's, he's getting lots of love. I saw a clip the other day. And then there's Donald Trump. Unless it's a room that's been fully orchestrated, they're going to clown you. They're going to roast you. They're going to make fun of you. And Meatball Ron. That's not what I'm saying because I don't even... My grandmother used to say, you have to stoop to calling people names. I said, but Nanny, it's fun. It's fun. And it's fun to watch sometimes. Public shaming is appropriate. Elliot, tell us where we can find your good work.
You can check me out at youtube.com/rebelhq. And then I'm here most Thursdays. And you can check me out at substack.com/Elliot Morgan. And so thank you for having me, Sharon.
I'm going to join your Substack. Do it. Everybody join now. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And thanks, Doc, for handing over the keys to us. I hope we did it justice. Doc's so easy. He grades on a curve anyway. So he always says, oh, you did a great job. And I'm thinking he didn't watch that day. I said farted live. But this audience can appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope we'll see you again.